know that sales are the ultimate source of revenue for every company. And I think that our guest has an ultimate importance in this episode. Andy, thank you very much for coming.
Hi, Tatiana. It's my pleasure.
Great, great. I would say that let's start from the very beginning. We all dream to have a great team of salesmen. And what would be your recommendations how to hire the right person? What are the skills required? What are the important criteria?
So when you're looking to bring on new salespeople, obviously you want people that have got the tenacity to, go out there and speak to the customers first of all. And obviously what that involves is basically, the ability to research and understand the market opportunity. And then when you're speaking with your customers, the ability to get them to engage. So the more you know about the market that they work in and the industry, what their problems are, the better you are positioned as a salesperson to be able to try and resolve those problems. Also, the company that you work for has a responsibility to make sure they have the gravitas in that market. So, when you're going and speaking to customers, it's based on the reputation of the company. Mm-hmm. So, having the right people that, have got the determination to succeed is quite important. And what I've found in my career in various different sales roles is actually people quite often say, oh, I want to be a product manager or I want to be in marketing. But actually the end result of any business is to make sales and obviously grow their market share. Mm-hmm. And obviously a successful individual wants to become, the person that drives that business forward because they're building their reputation on their ability to, identify new opportunities, move into new markets, create new categories in that market by identifying problems that exist there, and then also, being able to sell that solution supported by a company that's able to deliver the capability that the salesperson sold.
What kind of criteria or filters we could implement in the recruitment process? Because I think it's quite difficult to find the right person for the sales role, isn't it?
Yes, I mean, like I say, I used to run a graduates in IT program, and obviously try to bring new recruits into the business from BT's perspective. And we go to the fairs where people have just graduated from university, and I would say that there's not. The salespeople are in the minority, really. A lot of people want to move into a product development role, want to move into a marketing role, or into kind of a technology role. But like I say, sales is really important. So the first thing is to basically identify the people that want to be in sales. And obviously, when you put that advert out, you obviously hope that the right salespeople will come along. But really, I suppose, as with anything, one of the key ways of identifying the right people is by understanding their rationale and their desire to win for that business and their ability to close new business. And people generally, that have the skills are quite good at articulating that. They might not be, experts in other areas, but certainly, their persona, the way they come across, the first kind of 20 seconds of meeting somebody, you kind of get a feeling, as an employee, would I want this person to represent my company? And would the customers actually warm to that person? So a lot of it's about the personality. There are techniques that people can be trained on in terms of researching, looking at opportunity, identifying USPs. But ultimately, those first few moments, you can tell whether somebody's going to be able to articulate those very well.
Besides articulation and company representation, is there anything else that is important?
I mean, obviously, motivation and desire to succeed. Personal motivation. So you can understand a lot, from an individual about understanding, what their journey to move into sales was, what are their kind of, personal interests and hobbies. So, do they like competitive sports, or are they happy in team sports? Do they like to, do they feel like they're an individual? Do they feel like they're a part of a team? Because I mean, you don't just need an individual star performer, but you also need a team player. And the important thing, from a team perspective is, once you've identified an individual, that's great. But does the business really want, 7 salespeople that come out of the same mold. And actually, from my experience, diversity, diversity across age and gender, race and nationality makes a lot of difference. So having a very diverse team and building a close team allows people to learn a lot from each other, and actually that builds a strong team. And then as the individuals go through their success, as long as they've got the ability to share that, then that becomes important. What you'll find is somebody might be a great salesperson, but they are very competitive, and therefore they don't impart any knowledge back to their colleagues, whereas other people take on a kind of mentoring or a coaching role with people that work with them, because they genuinely want everyone to succeed, and they also want the business to succeed. And that's the most important part of any business, is creating that synergy and moving forward.
I agree. Do you have a set of questions which you ask to detect this talent?
Well, you can use various different kind of recruitment type of questioning techniques. But basically, when I started in recruitment, or started in sales, when we recruited salespeople, it was very, very much, of a kind of hypothetical scenario. So, for example, we might, pass the person in the interview a paperclip and say, sell me this paperclip. And they go, okay, they really try very hard, and the response back was, well, we've moved to a paperless office, so we don't need a paperclip. But that doesn't really identify the best people. What you should really do is look for experience and build on experience. So where somebody's completed a journey, and they've overcome some hurdles along the way, they may or may not have addressed those hurdles to achieve success. So you obviously want to learn success, about success, and people should be well prepared for that in an interview. But what often you want to be able to recognise is people learn from their failures or the problems they experience in business. And a well-rounded individual will be well prepared to give you an example of a failure, because actually a failure is a learning lesson. So you learn something, and from that you don't make the same mistake again, and you can advise other people not to make that same mistake. So following basically examples of that individual is a very good way of doing it. And then also, from a business perspective, there is always a set of business goals and, a vision and objectives that a business would like to achieve. So, if an individual's shown an interest in that business, in the business they've applied for the job for, then what we want to be able to do is we want to be able to see that they understand, the values of the business and how they will portray that to the customer. And obviously, one of the things that is important is objection handling. So handling objections. So obviously questioning an individual and seeing how they respond to that objection is quite important as well, because you get objections, and generally they are valid objections. The time's not right, or I've already got a solution. But sometimes they're really false objections, and while the customer might have something in place already that they think is doing the job they need, it's the opportunity for the salesperson to demonstrate that they have the capability within the business to be able to do something better and deliver more customer satisfaction, drive new business, or grow that business for the customer we're selling to as well.
What is more important, do you think, hard skills or soft skills? Product knowledge or more communication?
So communication, soft skills are definitely the most important thing, because if you don't present yourself right to the customer, then you're not going to get that second chance to go in, and that's even before they've learned about your products and services. Do you need to be a product and service expert? I suppose I think about simple examples, like a TV. You don't need to understand how a TV works, technically, to be able to sell the fact that it gives you some content. You can choose the content that you want when you need it, and it's always there. It's different ways of dealing with different things. So I think soft skills in terms of communications are important. Qualification and problem solving are then very important within that. And then, like I say, I would always expect with any business that I'm working for, their products and services and their reputation in market, they can give me some good use cases, and they can give me some, market vertical knowledge of which they've been successful in the past. And therefore, as a rounded new salesperson, I can then say, well, okay, I know what the proposition is, I know the value it brings and the problem it's solving, and it's in the entertainment sector, so I'm going to go after these people that are in entertainment. So that's the way that people start in sales. Once they become a specialist in that area, so they become a specialist in selling something into the entertainment sector, as they mature through their career, they might then move into business development in that area. So they might create a new solution that addresses the entertainment opportunity, so a wider scale proposition. And then they also have the ability to be the hunter to get that first mover advantage and sell that sell that entertainment service which has not been sold before. But you would never put a new salesperson with a new product. You'd always, if you've got a new product, take somebody that's got experience from working in that sector or country that you're taking that new product into. If you're going for, selling more of what you sell because you've had success, then obviously you've got the synergy of, some experts that have been doing it already that work with the new salespeople to bring them on.
In our next episode, Sabir will explain how to promote products effectively. Subscribe and watch our informative videos.